Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Eric Johnson Jr. and for those who haven't seen this channel before, I try to do all things racing. So if you like that kind of content, if you like race cars, make sure to stop, go down, hit that subscribe button if you want to commit to seeing more content just like this video. But I'm just gonna jump straight in. This one's gonna be a quick video, but I wanted to show you guys something. We got something cool to announce, and I know this is kind of a laid-back way to show it to you, but we've already announced it on our social media platforms outside of YouTube, so I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys up front on the channel. But we got a new addition to the shop. As many of you guys have already heard, we just purchased a not a brand new, but a car brand new to us. It's for the gas series, which the gas series, for many of you guys that follow us closely will know, it's a stock car, basically a late model perimeter chassis series that races these perimeter chassis on road courses. So not your regular circle track stuff, not the stuff you'd see with the baby grands or the super late model or any of that. We actually take these cars strictly just to road courses and we run them around, sometimes in our own run group, sometimes in groups like the Big Boar Bash at the Rose Cup races in Portland, which I ran in this car earlier this year, which had everything from Audi R8s, McLarens, Porsches, Corvettes, Camaros, BMWs, stock cars. I mean, everything you can think of. We had over 50 cars in the race, and this car with overheating, I got spun out by a driver in the race, and the shifter broke off the first corner, finished 13th. I was pretty proud of that one, to bring it home 13th without getting a yellow after being spun like we did, radiator all plugged up, but managed 13th. That was an awesome run, and after that I was pretty glued to this car, but I kind of wanted to just show you guys this. I'm going to try to do this all in one take, but really just for the overview on the car here, for anyone that hasn't seen it, it is a perimeter late model stock chassis. I'm not exactly sure the brand of chassis. I believe it was built based off of the old Greg Biffle front clips, and it is labeled, I believe, as a Chris Evans, chassis. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this car was built at the Jefferson shop here in, I believe, Washington. I believe that's where his shop is. I've never been myself. But it's got the 5-star Gen 6 Mustang body on it, which I am just grown to love. I really like this Mustang look. I think it looks really aggressive. The car is actually not going to look like this. We're planning on having it wrapped in something a little bit more festive. That's all I can really say. We're gonna go for a little bit more of the series vibe that they're following. So stay tuned for that. Trying to get all that sorted out in the background. It will not be like one of our cars, I will say that. But anyways, yeah, I'm very excited. As you can see, I don't have a late model behind me. We just took that car over to Valleyscapes. If you haven't already, check that out on our other social media platforms. That was super cool to bring them the car, show it up front in person, and really just show them all the hardware we've earned since they've been on the car. It's just been so nice having a partner like Valleyscapes that has allowed us to do stuff like the late models, like the baby grands, which you can see on the quarter there. They're on the quarter panel. They've allowed me to pursue things like the road racing opportunities with not only this car, but the one that's even behind it, which is currently getting front clipped. I did not wreck it, but I drove it before it was wrecked, and down at Sonoma, for anyone that remembers that. Super fun. But let's just kind of take a look around the gas car. I'm just so blessed to have this thing sitting here. I'm so excited to show you guys the journey of working on it, getting it prepared for the season, and kind of personalizing it for our touch. But let's look this thing over a little bit. So many of you car guys probably wondering, or car gals, probably wondering underneath, what does this thing have for a motor? And while it needs a little bit of love, this car's got a 351 Windsor Ford in it. Makes about 410 to the wheel or so. Is kind of the estimated number. But it's very similar to kind of what we see in the late model circle track stuff with the crate motors. Very similar powertrain. Then it has a 4-speed Jericho in it. And the biggest difference, like I mentioned, you have your frame rail on the outside, down below, door bars all the way to the left side, but on the right side, where our late models would typically stop right about where this hoop is, the frame rail continues all the way up to that right side, which is, what makes this a perimeter chassis. So The other thing that makes super convenient with that perimeter chassis, in our late models, you typically see kind of the tin work come up off this right side, just the room for the driver's seat. Well, with this car, with the frame rail coming all the way to the right side, it makes it safe to actually have a passenger seat installed. I need to redo some of the brackets that are back here. Personally, I just feel like this is a little bit too lightweight for my liking right now. They just have some basically angled steel back there, about an 1/8 inch thick, and while I can understand the concept behind it, it's just a little too lightweight for me. So we're gonna do some additional bracing before we put anyone in the car. But besides that, like I said, we have room for the passenger seat in here, which is very unique. We've actually taken some fans for some ride-alongs earlier this year at the Montana 200. For anyone that was there, you saw that. Wasn't exactly the best environment for these cars, but we made it work. You put people in the cars, you take them around the track, they smile, boom, perfect. I'll show you my side for any of those drivers out there that are interested in what this may look like from a driver's perspective. Pretty similar setup from your late model, your standard late model deal. Like I said, the tin work's a little bit different. I personally have a almost identical Ultra Shield full containment seat like I do in my Circle Track late model. This one's a little bit more of a stand-up-ish, I think probably more of a sprint car setup seat. It's not perfectly straight, but it has a lot less of a bow to it. And personally, the reason why I did that is it makes me feel a little bit more on top of the setup for the aggressive shifting that we're doing. You know, places like Sonoma, this car realistically is gonna be shifting 20 to 30 times a lap. Based off of some of the tracks we're at. Sonoma, I think we shifted 18 times a lap, if I can remember correctly. I think Portland is somewhere around that same ballpark, maybe a little less. But basically, it just gave me a little bit more of a leverage, basically more leverage on that shifter and all the other controls in there. Instead of being more for comfort, these are more of a sprint styled race. While they can be a little lengthier, they're not like our 2-hour late model races. They're more 40 minutes at most or something like that. So I'm okay with losing some of that comfort for the leverage and the aggression points. It's got an older dash system in here, a long acre setup. Still need to do some work. By the way, you see me there. Hello. Still need to do some touch-ups in here. The tin work needs probably a lot of cleaning. The firewall needs a little bit of patchwork, but basically the thing is turnkey, ready to go. The motor probably needs some love too, as it's gotten pretty hot, like I said. But your standard 3-pedal setup, it's 4-speed Jericho. You're not using the clutch on upshifts and downshifting. You are blipping the throttle under every shift. Most drivers say they don't do that every shift. Personally, it's something I've gotten used to with all the other road course experience that I've had to do, been lucky enough to do. So it's just something I feel like helps these things kind of keep the cars underneath you under downshifts. I watch a lot of cars in front of me as they're going through the gears, and these cars dance around really heavily, and those guys just say they're just slamming the gears. They don't do anything with the throttle. Personally, that little blip of gas, that little throttle, just stabilizes that shift and matches those revs a little bit better, makes that shift just that much smoother. Personally, I feel like it builds consistency. So that's all I do in these things under downshifts: left foot brake, right foot blips. Now let's go into the rear of the car. While I apologize because there's not great lighting, we can still show you. It has our standard 3-link setup. It's not a truck arm setup or nothing like that, like the ARCA cars. 3-link setup. It's coilovers on all 4 corners, but no bump sticks. You can see we have the Willwood calipers, some ducting coming down, but the only main difference here, instead of having that regular panhard track bar, we have a Watts link off the back side of the rear end, and I'll see if I can get a good shot for you. But basically, you can see that bracket coming off the rear plate there on the rear end, and that is what stabilizes that side-to-side movement instead of that panhard track bar setup like the Circle Track stuff. So you have a link running to both sides instead of one from the rear end to the chassis. Then, because of that being on the back side, your quick change gear plate is on the front side of the rear end, so you actually have to remove the drive line to pull that cover off, but still quick change rear, to say the least. And then we have a 20-gallon fuel cell. We don't typically need 20 gallons, but for those longer races where you're on and off the throttle like you are in these cars, going through the gears, it's nice to have that kind of reserve. But besides that, it is really just a standard late model. Symmetrical setup we have, let's see here, kind of your typical solid link on the front, 3-piece sway bar. I guess, yeah, it's not much different than what you oval guys would see, but it's something that I'm really excited about. They're a handful to drive sometimes, but that's what makes them fun. And you know, the thing is, I'm not too worried about diving into setup at the track. This car is really going to be used as a learning tool for me personally to just get more experience with the stock car chassis, going around the road courses and handling different driving conditions with the car acting in different ways. Obviously, we'll go through and set our base geometry, fresh shock package probably, or at least rebuild these shocks, and all the other fun stuff like I've already mentioned, but we don't necessarily have to do as much at the track as you would do on your typical circle track race night. So that's kind of the nice thing about this. It's a lot more of a laid back environment, which is something I'm super excited for. But yes, we will be running this car at the Gas Series events, which this car was actually owned by the owners of the Gas Series. So it's got a lot of their logos on it right now. And we'll keep as many of those on there as we can. Obviously put our own look on it. But we will also be running this car at things like just private test days, possibly SCCA events like the Rose Cup races and some big bore events. And yeah, we're just gonna use it for some fun, seat time, get people out there, put them in the passenger seat. I'll take them for rides, take sponsors out, take friends and family out if we have the opportunity, and just go throw this thing around the racetrack, maintain it, and go have fun. So really looking forward to it. I hope you guys are as excited about it as I am. But besides that, guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and end this one here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like this video, like I said, make sure to go down, hit that subscribe button. But that is the overview of our brand new addition to the Eric Jr. Racing shop, as you can see. But we have some fun stuff planned in the future, including this car, our late model, Baby Grands, and many more. So make sure to follow all of our social media pages for that over on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and all of the above. But yeah, besides that, guys, I'm gonna leave it here. So thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way through the end of the video, let me know down in the comments, you know, what you guys would like to see from this car, what kind of videos you'd like to see going forward in the future. But until next time, guys, that's all I got for you. Take it easy.